Welcome to the JWK show. We talk about crypto and we keep things short and concise. This year is one of the most important years for cryptos as this election is a crypto election. We have two candidates. One is pro crypto, we have Trump, and the other is anti crypto, which is Biden. So the choice is clear. If you are pro crypto, you vote for Trump. If you are anti crypto, then you vote for Biden. But it seems like in America, a majority of the people, Americans, are pro crypto. So based on that, it seems like Trump will win. But if Biden wins, then it is all over for cryptocurrencies, digital assets in the US. So guys, this is why it is a very important year for cryptocurrencies. The elections will decide the fate of cryptos in the US. Now from King Valix, gold standard is coming back and Trump is all for crypto. We have from Judy Shelton, who is the economic advisor to Trump. She says we have a gold standard in a very cryptocurrency kind of way. So as said by the Xrp insiders, Xrp is connected with gold. Xrp providing liquidity to gold. And we also have from CBS News poll, choice for president. If higher prices have been hardship, we have likely voters of Donald Trump at 69% and Joe Biden at 30%. And we have the choice for president if voting now. We have for Arizona, Florida, Nevada, and Virginia. And right now we have Trump winning. And from King Valix, Bitcoin will explode for the last gasp, like the ECB said, before Trump comes in and flips the switch. So before election time, guys, we will see altcoin season beginning, one of the biggest ever crypto bull run. And before the elections, we always see the markets pumping up. It doesn't make sense for the 1% to dump the market, in this case, the Democrats, if they want your vote again. And we have from David Schwartz, XRP is the clear winner. We will see America adopting XRP if Trump wins. From David, the XRP ledger is the best blockchain for payments. Let's take a look at this. And this is from Jake's podcast on YouTube. We have the pod of Jake.
Well, one thing that I think I kind of have to point out is that like Ripple is a company that has employees and has offices, and we have a product called RippleNet, which is an enterprise payment system that's not really decentralized. It's it's regulatory compliant. It does sanction screening. It can integrate in payment companies and banks in their transaction flows, and we built that to enable sort of top-down adoption of blockchains. Because in 2014 or 2015, when we embarked on that strategy, enterprises didn't want to touch blockchains. They had no right. It's very different now, but they had no interest in touching blockchains. So let's build a payment system that can settle using digital assets, but that provides better features. Even if they're going to use their traditional forex desks, even if they're going to not use touch a cryptocurrency, they still get a better payment experience, and they're able to settle with a cryptocurrency whenever they're willing to do so. And of course, now we're pretty much only looking for customers that will settle with a cryptocurrency, and that allows enterprises to access blockchains like the XRP ledger and tokens like XRP without being exposed to a system where they might receive money from a terrorist, or they might, if you interoperate on a DEX, you have no control over your counterparties, right? And that's a no-go for institutions. So Ripple as a company, like on the institutional adoption side, has built this compliant system on top of public blockchains like the XRP ledger. As far as the XRP ledger ecosystem itself, I still think the XRP ledger is the best blockchain for payments. Transactions are complete in a couple of seconds. They cost a tiny fraction of a penny. We have, full-fledged DEX. We have issued assets. We have NFT support. We have a variety. We have most of the things that you would want to do with a smart contract. Probably 80% of what you'd want to do with a smart contract, we do through smart transactors. But the downside is if you want to do something that can't be done with the existing transactors, just like a Bitcoin, like if you want to have collateralized lending on Bitcoin, Bitcoin doesn't have any way, the Bitcoin blockchain doesn't have any way to provide that smart contract capability. I would say think about the XRP ledger as sort of somewhere between Bitcoin and Ethereum in terms of functionality. In other words, it provides more functionality than Bitcoin, but not as much as Ethereum. But balanced against that is it's much faster, it's much cheaper, and it's also much more secure. I'm sure you've heard stories about people who agree to smart contracts and don't know what the smart contracts do. You don't have that problem. Like you can't use a DEX on Ethereum without interacting with a smart contract. You can't use an NFT without interacting with a smart contract. You don't need a smart contract. And so that means your tool understands all of the behavior of the DEX and all of the behavior of the blockchain because they're core blockchain functions. So it's not as flexible as Ethereum, but in exchange, faster, cheaper, and you have that higher level of security where you don't have to worry about a smart contract doing something you didn't anticipate.
And eventually we will see smart contracts implemented on the XRP ledger, which we call hooks. And we have another video of David. He says, Swift is ancient. XRP is the future of payments. As said by BG123, we will see Swift using XRP.
There are a couple
or Ripple replacing Swift.
A couple of problems with Swift. But the big one is that it is just ancient. When you use an app from your bank, from your bank or financial institution, the website looks cool, the app looks cool. But if you go down just a couple of layers into the plumbing, it's like getting into a time machine. You're back in the 60s or 70s if you're lucky, 60s if you're not lucky. They don't use any of the cryptographic algorithms that have secured the modern internet. They maybe use them they maybe have an authentication layer wrapped on top that uses them, but they don't use them like in their fundamental internals. And it's just a messaging system. It just pushes messages around. It doesn't like check to make sure that the recipient exists before the debit occurs at the source. It doesn't make sure that the recipient can accept the flow of money before the money starts to flow. It doesn't negotiate fees ahead of time. It doesn't even know the path that the money is going to take. Email is so much more technically sophisticated than Swift. That it's just ridiculous. Some of the delays in the system come back from the days where somebody literally physically had to take a tape from one machine to another machine, and they could only do that when the bank was closed, because when the bank was open, the tape needed to be on the bank machine, and when the bank was closed, it went to the machine that would like synchronize with other banks. And so Swift is a slick messaging layer, but that's all it is. It just sends a message. It just sends a message from one point to another point. It doesn't really do much of anything else. And what we realized is that if institutions were going to adopt cryptocurrencies, they couldn't use a messaging system like that. They couldn't just move money around and hope that it got to the destination a couple of days later. Like, they'd have to know the path. They'd have to know the rate. They'd have to have close. They have to know what compliance information they need ahead of time. And we heard from banks that payments were terrible. Their experience with payments was bad because customers would call them up and say, "Hey, my recipient didn't get this payment," and they'd be like, "Oh, maybe give it another couple of days." Okay, we'll look into it. And then they didn't know. They would have to call up like institutions in the path and try to track down. The experience was just very poor. And most of the time, the problem was just that they didn't have the information that was needed at the beginning. But like, email does all of those things with the negotiation ahead of time. And so we realized, like, if we wanted that institutions to be able to adopt cryptocurrency, first of all, our in would be a better payment system. And then that payment system would enable settlement with a digital asset. And so that's kind of what we built. And institutions were receptive, even in the early days, even if they had no interest in cryptocurrency, they were still receptive to having a better payment system. And so a lot of our early customers just wanted to use it, to move assets, fiat assets around, and that's fine. And then it's transitioned today to a network that settles, using the movement of a digital asset. So it can settle, day or night. Like the crypto ecosystem runs 24/7. It doesn't have holidays. It's global, and so that passes all those benefits down to institutions.
That is it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.